But before then, here is Philion's Balenciaga video. Before we get to the biggest menace, Philion made a deep dive into the weird shit that Balenciaga has done. You okay, man? No, I'm not okay. Dude, I get so bummed. I don't know. It's fine. I'm all right. I'm good. All right, I'll pick up. My attitude will pick up soon. Like, the greatest solution is like the best solution that liberals have been able to like allow, and it's still a good thing. Like, it's still positive. But the greatest solution we've allowed is 1 additional penny per pound of tomatoes. And even then, you don't have a lot of fucking companies signing off on it. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you got like states that are making taking the initiative to like unwind pre-existing child labor protections. Really fucked up. And we still have, like I said, comic leasing as well.
Okay, Carl, show us.
I didn't check the math, but the article says it somehow has the 71% increase in wages. Yeah, that's how little they get paid. That's the point. The coalition said that a penny more for each bucket would raise their pay rate 77 cents, handing the workers a hefty 71% increase in wages. Do you understand how fucking awful that is? Florida is the source of more than 90% of fresh winter tomatoes produced in the United States, largely working on small, individually owned farms. Tomato pickers are currently paid about 45 cents for every 32-pound bucket of fruit they pick, with no rights to overtime pay or any other job benefits. The coalition said that a penny more for each bucket would raise the pay rate to 77 cents. Tell me about my mom was a migrant worker as a kid, and so was her family, and she doesn't even see that she was exploited and that things have changed marginally. What? Wait, what? Sorry to dump this, but that one clip you showed on the front line is an amazing documentary, and the subject is called Rape in the Fields. There's another one called R on the Night Shift that is also really eye-opening. Chat, y'all should check it out if you don't hate PBS like Hassan. I don't hate PBS at all. What the fuck? I love PBS. And I don't even hate NPR. Did you arrive at that conclusion because I said they're state-funded media? I want more state-funded media. That's the weirdest fucking conclusion. It's just a joke, baby. Love you. Oh, okay. Okay.
Some of that grumpy look. No. Yeah, let's go. Come on, Carl. You can do it. Yes, don't you dare talk to me. I'm an Aryan Übermensch, too obsessed with the image of myself to be involved with anyone or anything that doesn't fit my stylized image of the world. Oh, wait. Suddenly I'm dressed in something way less expensive. It's H&M. Everybody come together. You can too be a part of this happy, smiling group of mixed skin colors for not that much money. Hashtag friendship, hashtag everyone's equal, hashtag happy life, hashtag stop climate change. Oh no. I am so sorry, darling. I didn't see that it was Balenciaga you're wearing. We are strong and tough and unapproachable. Show me that Balenciaga look. Oh, I'm
No, this is not satire. I swear to God.
sorry. I think it's back to H&M again. Yay! We're just kidding. We're so cheap. We're so happy. Yes. Everybody come closer together. Balenciaga's back. Ooh, fiercer than ever. We are stone cold. Yes. Oh my God, get away from us.
Balenciaga is one of the world's most famous luxury fashion brands, known for its hefty price tags, cutting-edge designs, and disruptive avant-garde approach. The brand dominated celebrity culture, runways, and the future of fashion as a whole, until news flooded the internet of Balenciaga's own publication depicting satanic imagery and alluding to child exploitation in various design campaigns. Is there a cabal of elites who operate under the caring umbrella to manipulate people into buying the devil's drip? Or is this just a quick story pushed by reactionary news sources, networks, and social media?
As is the case with every single fucking fashion brand or anything that is like even tangentially revolved around the art world, it's a bit of both.
The answer is somewhere in the middle.
Always.
There is no good and evil.
Except this campaign is so fire. I can't. It's, oh God, I love. This is the only time I've defended AI art. Okay,
There is
I think
only
it's
Balenciaga, and those too weak to seek it.
To understand fashion, you must familiarize yourself with its three tiers.
There is
mass market, where inexpensive materials are compiled to create affordable designs for a broad range of customers. Think Target, Walmart, and even Amazon. Pret-a-porter, or ready-to-wear, which is self-explanatory.
Happy birthday, Maximum
Pre-manufactured
Rock and
clothing
Roll.
that's sold finished like a pair of jeans from the mall. And the most infamous and least obtainable, haute couture, or high dressmaking in French, combines the basic ingredients of fashion: silhouette, proportions, color, texture, layering, among others, to conceive something never before seen and perfectly fitted. Technically speaking, haute couture clothing must adhere to certain guidelines in order for it to qualify for this label. However, the term has been used by elite fashion houses to describe their clothing as a step above competition. Fashion houses such as Dior, Chanel, Givenchy, Saint Laurent, and Balenciaga all have one thing in common. Their clothing is seen as more than just an expensive trend. It's seen as art. Whether you agree with this or not, it doesn't matter. You're not their audience. There's an inherent classism in high fashion because the barrier to entry is absurd. They simply don't charge what it costs to make, they charge what people are willing to pay. Luxury brands often spend more on packaging, rent, marketing, shipping, designing, and research because diminishing returns between quality and price already exist. If done right, every detail from the start of production to the finished piece is accounted for and done with purpose. Some even argue that high fashion is less controversial than fast fashion due to the fact that affordable clothing is oftentimes mass-produced, sometimes through cheap or even slave labor, while high fashion is regulated, uses higher quality materials, and is designed by expert craftsmen. Or maybe that's just what they want consumers to believe. A vast majority of the world uses clothing strictly as utility, to cover themselves, to keep warm. Most people don't care about style beyond fitting in or following the status quo. High fashion comes with a privilege and can play on one's need to be part of a group or deviate from it entirely. Then you have companies like Zara, the #1 enemy of high fashion, who relentlessly steal silhouettes and use cheap materials to earn insane profits. It should be noted that expensive brands are not above this either. Stealing designs is just a problem that will most likely never get solved.
Damn, okay, Philion. This is like surprisingly, I mean, it's like it's only scratching the surface, but also surprisingly knowledgeable. I would not expect this from like a YouTuber who's not specifically focused in like fashion. Actually very good.
Solved. In some way, high fashion will always be different from fast fashion because it invokes some sort of feeling, giving meaning to a consumer, or at least that's what they often strive for. Sometimes the artistry gets lost in translation, and high fashion brands stretch the absurd themes for the sole purpose of being different or original. And if you have to try this hard to be different, Are you even any different at all? This mentality ended up leaving Balenciaga, its parent company Kering, as well as anyone else involved in the brand with a ton of questions from the public that they couldn't answer. Their response? Half-baked apologies and a hard reset. Whether the accusations are true or not, there is plenty of information floating around the internet that, once pieced together, provides a sufficient explanation. Balenciaga's origins began with one man, Cristobal Balenciaga Ezeguirre, the king of fashion. At the age of 12, in 1907, Cristobal was an apprentice for a tailor until the foremost noblewoman in his...
My sister's boyfriend's pretty high up in a skater fashion brand, and they purchased the same hoodies, Louis Vuitton and Gucci, and sell it for $200 instead of $850 minimum law. Yeah, except $200 for a hoodie is also fucking insane. But yes, a lot of these... You need my phone? Possibly.
Town, the Marchioness de Casatores became his client. She saw Cristobal's raw talent and decided to send him to Madrid to be formally trained as a couturier. Cristobal earned rapid success for being one of the few couturiers who could redefine silhouettes and use their own hands to pattern, cut, and sew any design imagined. In 1918, at the age of 23, Cristobal opened his first boutique in San Sebastian, Spain. His brand quickly branched off to Madrid and Barcelona, where Spanish aristocracy began to wear his designs. After the onset of the Spanish Civil War, Cristobal was forced to close down his boutiques and move to Paris. As much as he may have missed his homeland, France provided Cristobal with opportunities in fashion that he could not resist. His genius was truly admired in post-war Europe through silhouettes, high-waisted dresses, and coat cuts until 1968, at the age of 74, when he decided to retire and close his fashion houses. Cristobal Balenciaga would pass away 4 years later in Xàbia, Spain, with a reputation from other designers as, quote, the master of us all, and, quote, the only couturier in the truest sense of the word. Sadly, it appeared as if the Balenciaga name would die alongside its founder.
I mean, that shit's pretty fucking... Look at that, dude. That is like...
would die along...
legitimately revolutionary for the time period. I mean, what the fuck? Even high-waisted cuts like that. I mean, that's fire. You can get mad at it. You can say it's stupid. You can say it's dumb. It's understandable. You are entitled to have your opinion, but it is incredibly ahead of its time. And not only that, but also fashion in general is in this very unique space where it's supposed to be like artistic interpretation through this different medium that is wearable. So obviously it has different components involved with it, which is why it always receives so much attention and always gets shit on regularly. And yeah, it is kind of dumb for sure. But, you know, I'm a fan of that dumb shit. So I personally like it. I think it's cool. But I am by no ways saying that, you should think it's cool as well. I don't think it's also is a traditionally feminine craft. Yeah. But even if you're going to know and say that it's dumb, it's good to know the basics if you want to shit on it more adequately.
The brand was reignited in 1986 when Jacques Canquier of Jacques Bogart bought the Balenciaga company. Under new management, the Balenciaga name actively kept up with the latest fashion trends, with the brand's products and accessories being highly sought after by consumers. In 2001, Balenciaga would be bought again by the Gucci Group under the management of Pinot Prétend Réduit, or PPR, for an undisclosed sum. PPR had started as a timber trading company in France, but at some point transitioned to luxury goods by acquiring companies such as Bottega Veneta, Gucci, Alexander McQueen, and Yves Saint Laurent. PPR, a now multinational conglomerate named Kering, saw promise in the Balenciaga name, setting it on a path of success that was only recently stifled. With their creative director being known for his provocative trolling and statements with his clothing, the brand is constantly at the forefront of pop culture. Balenciaga was sure to make new waves in modern fashion by pushing the boundaries of avant-garde clothing and an understanding of meme culture mixed with performance its art, but it was only a matter of time something sinister would wash up.
Yes, they're all, yes, they 100% are all still owned by like the same conglomerates. A lot of these fashion houses are owned by like 3 or 4 major conglomerates, Louis Vuitton being one of the biggest ones. It's the same as even cars. When you think about like all the way from a Volkswagen to a Audi to all the way to Lamborghini, they are all under the Volkswagen Auto Group, right? Every single part of LVMH and Kering, all matter of vehicles. Oh, Porsche as well, obviously. I can't believe I forgot that. All matter of things that you consume, all matter of commodities that you purchase are always going to be owned by pretty much the same fucking like 3 or 4 companies that dominate every single industry. They are all oligopolies for the most part.
Bringing the latest in contemporary fashion with form and technique, this new house of Balenciaga had solidified a name for itself among the elite as Cristobal once did, claiming to deliver, quote, unprecedented interactions with the expanding digital realm, material developments.
Oh yeah, they did this on Twitch. I remember this was like, wasn't this like a Twitch bounty?
Social responsibilities.
How did they do that so seriously looking like that? Brother, it is not for you. Okay? It's not. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, what's a good way to describe it? Like, well, especially Balenciaga has so much shit too, like awful garbage shit and some great pieces. I will admit, but just an absolute nonsensical amount of like shock factor, shock value, supposedly haute couture clothing that is readily available for mass consumption. But fashion is not necessary for survival. Yeah, no shit. You're on Twitch. What element of your consumption is necessary for survival? The fuck do you mean? No one is making this argument. It would sure be really embarrassing for the guy who made this argument that you made up in your mind, but you know, that's not the case. You know? Bro is literally on Twitch asking about something being taken seriously. I know, literally. Like, he probably thinks that he needs a $5 subscription because otherwise he's going to die if he sees the ads at the top of the hour. You know what I mean? Because at the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break. Okay? Which is the best way that you can, you know, spend $5, I would say, by subscribing and avoiding the top of the hour ad breaks. Or by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Balenciaga Harry.
Hopes of staying at the forefront of modernity. If you have ever-increasing original ideas and designs,
Dynamic Jab
there is
13,
bound to be criticism and
subs.
pushback. Yet a revolutionary or unique product or trend was not Balenciaga's problem. In one of the luxury house's latest campaigns, published on November 16th, 2022, titled Balenciaga Gift Shop, children were pictured holding teddy bear handbags, wearing supposed BDSM gear. The children can also be seen in questionable poses and amid wine glasses, which social media ran with as child exploitation or endangerment. This collection was captured by famous photographer Gabriele Galimberti, whose most notable collection, Toy Stories, resembled the style used in the Balenciaga campaign. According to media sources, Galimberti was told by Balenciaga representatives to use his Toy Stories approach, but they would provide the punk items. Besides child exploitation, as if that wasn't damning enough, Balenciaga's campaigns were thought to contain satanic imagery. Through evidence such as a child's drawing with what looks like to be the devil, a black hoodie neatly placed resembling cult attire, as well as...
No, that's so lame because people said that because they're conspiracy there are conspiracy LGBTQ haters? No, 100%. But it's still fucking weird. Like, you should not use children for shock value. That's it. That's like, it's so odd. And if you recall at the time, I covered this story as well, parsing through the nonsensical, like, ultra-Christian fundamentalist schizos claiming that, like, all matter of art was actually pedophilic or whatever. But, and the children were literally working, the children were working. The children yearn for the mines again. No, the children were the kids of the people that work at Balenciaga, which doesn't matter. Like, it does. It's just like weird and gross, and absolutely should not be anywhere near this kind of project when you are simply trying to come across as edgy and unique. Do you understand what I mean? Like, that's it. That's it. The children yearn for the drip. I don't see any pedophilia in it, though. No, but like the punk BDSM aesthetic, especially as the kids were like holding on to it, were a strange choice, and they did it deliberately. They did it by design. The reason why they made the kids do this ad campaign was so that it would get this kind of shock value. You know what I mean?
The most compelling clue, a roll of yellow Balenciaga tape depicting two A's, which spells ball. Ball was an ancient word used in the Levant to describe an owner or lord. But in its
yeah, I don't really care about like the satanic imagery associated with the children. That stuff is just like, yeah, that's nonsensical. I'm sure they put it deliberately, but no. Even if they put it fucking deliberately, who gives a shit? Like, they're just insane. You know what I mean? The people that are like, oh no, they're definitely satanic. Those people are fucking crazy. Okay? Why don't you care about it? That's not weird to you. Why don't I care about what? Satanic panic? Did you actually seriously come in here and say, why don't you care about the satanic? Because what? Do you want me to take like weird fairy tales seriously? Like, I don't understand. No, they're putting, at what point do you let go of the cynicism? Let go of the cynicism and believe what exactly? That these guys are like legitimately working at the behest of Satan? Chatter. You need to be deplatformed, not Kai. True. For not taking the issue of Satan seriously. Chatter was like, bro, what do you mean? What's going on? These guys clearly work for Satan. Hello? Why is my favorite streamer not taking this seriously? This is really fucked up, man. No, they're going for shock value. And if it wasn't kids, and if they did this and way more unhinged shit with adults, then I wouldn't give a fuck at all. I would make fun of it.
more modern iteration, it has become the name of a pagan god, synonymous with child sacrifice. Some people even go as far as to say Google Translate reinforces the satanic controversy. Using Latin to English, typing Balenciaga into the search bar gives you Ball is king. But this is where the conspiracy theory starts to run into some problems. The actual word for king in Latin is Rex, and you can experiment with Latin to English and come up with similar odd results. There is also Balenciaga.
Wait, he doesn't believe any of this, right? Like, please, Philion, don't tell me you think this is all like, this all means something, right? Like, so what's the, like, this would be what? That, like, Google is working side by side at the behest of Satan along with Balenciaga to do what exactly? No, he's explaining
which
it.
Translates to do what you want. But does anyone believe Google Translate even remotely works, let alone for Latin? Try using Google Translate to have a conversation with someone who speaks a different language, and you will find out soon enough it falls apart. For example, if you type in stop hair loss, you get today's video is sponsored by Keeps.
Oh,
Keeps is a
fucking
Intercept,
debated, dude.
K-E-E-P-S.
That's a good ass debate. That's crazy.
.com/Philion.
That's a
or
10-10.
just click the link down below. And thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video. Why would
piece of
Satanists
shit.
intercept Google Translate's code to make this message? Did Lucifer tell them to? And isn't Balenciaga the founder's middle name? A family name passed down for generations? Wait, was Cristobal's family Satanists? This would have to be the single greatest satanic psyop. Starting in
I think the funniest part about this is that, like, they're so very clearly and desperately trying to. People who type stuff in the Google Translate for this are doing it while their kid is under the sink drinking chemicals. Dude, they're so very desperately trying to appear edgy and different. It's no different than, like, what was the pants that they just fucking sold recently that I saw that were like, they looked like it went through a shredder where the entire ass of the fucking pants was just like wide open. You guys have probably seen it. It was like deconstructive denim or whatever they were calling it. Like, it is in the same vein as like trying so extra hard to be extra and in many respects falling short. Because it's like just for a like a brief moment of attention. It's like a kid yelling in the fucking corner when he's put in timeout.
1895 and finally coming to fruition in 2023 with the fall of Google Translate. The sad reality is, you don't need a child murdering God if it's already confirmed that we live in a hellish society by the fact that Balenciaga's sincere apology was posted as an Instagram story. And at this point, the ultimate power move would have been to never apologize. But this is what they had to say. We sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should not have been featured with children in this campaign. We have immediately removed the campaign from all platforms. It should be noted that Balenciaga is apologizing for depicting the bags with children, not the bags themselves. Oftentimes on social media, silence is immediately equated to guilt, and by the time they responded, the damage was already done. Balenciaga headquarters was in full crisis management mode until another disaster struck. A campaign focused on an office theme, highlighting Balenciaga's garderobe line and a new era for the brand, was projected to launch in spring of 2023, which was in collaboration with Adidas. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary with this campaign, but the internet was hesitant to trust the multi-billion-dollar company after the previous oversight. It should be noted that photography sets are controlled environments where everything on the scene is purposeful, especially at this caliber. In what resembles a deliberate act by the studio and crews involved, Balenciaga's garderobe campaign included a photo with a page from a Supreme Court ruling of United States v. Williams.
Adidas equals all day I dream about Satan.
United States v. Williams was a ruling to prohibit the promotion or pandering of child pornography, and that it was not in violation of the First Amendment. Essentially, Michael Williams was Chris Hansened in a chat room by Secret Service agent Timothy Devine, who posed as Lisa N. Miami. After receiving images of minors engaging in sexually explicit conduct, the Secret Service executed a search warrant of Williams' home, seizing more images of underage children. Why would Balenciaga purposely place this in one of their campaigns? What were they trying to insinuate? In the background of an image from the same campaign, observant viewers found more features. A pair of strange art books, Matthew Barney's The Cremaster Cycle and Michael Borman's As Sweet as It Gets. The first book describes visuals from Barney's 5-part film series of the same name. The films were created purposefully out of order because Matt Barney, quite frankly, doesn't give a shit. The man makes 5 experimental movies with little little to no dialogue, ends up being hailed the most important American artist of his generation by the New York Times, and refuses to elaborate. However, there are two sides of the aisle. One side believes the films are bizarre, filled with nightmarish creatures and obscure sexual references, while others believe it to be an utter masterpiece. Why don't you decide?
Is there TOS in this?
Goodbye now, till then and
There's certainly overlap between Balenciaga and the Cremaster cycle. Both play with avant-garde fashion, as well as strange environments, to convey a sense of outlandish futurism, not too far off from one of their runways. The second book, published in 2014, combines more than 100 pieces.
Yeah, the only fucking two weird things in two separate campaigns. Using kids with the punk slash BDSM aesthetic is weird, odd. They shouldn't have done that. And then the second one was the fucking very clearly placed Supreme Court decision. Other than that, the rest of it is just art shit. In my opinion, as I gave you my assessment last time this happened, or last time this was like popping off, it's like 75 to 80% like freaks that are losing their minds. And 25% them being fucking gross weirdos because they think it's cutting edge and edgy. Okay? Ball is art, Hassan 2023? No. But all art is, like, most art is about being cutting edge and being considered degenerate and perverse. It's just reflected on our contemporary values and I guess breaking through our current and contemporary understanding. Will there be missteps in that situation? Absolutely. Okay, but that's how it works. Motherfuckers are acting like you're a 17th century peasant being like, me lord, I saw in the courthouse. They're drawing things that are not simple tapestries. It's the work of the devil. Of Hades, my lord.
Produced by Michael Bormans over a total of 14 years, including maybe his most infamous work, Fire from the Sun, which depicts unsettling images of maimed children covered in blood, with ominous implications of violence and other disturbing imagery. To some, it's reminiscent of Lord of the Flies and the Loss of Innocence. To others, it's the most disgusting excuse for art they've ever seen. But art is subjective, and there are probably dozens of people ready to line up and gaze upon Borman's mutilated toddlers. Regardless if you like Borman's art, he's an established European artist who illustrates whatever he wants, and his artwork is displayed in museums across the globe. One thing is for—
This is gross. 1 star on Amazon review. This is fucked up and gross. No, my favorite was what was it? My favorite out of all of the shit that we saw, the one that basically devolved into the very famous Goya painting of Saturn devouring his son. When I reached the point of Twitter schizo threads, when we reached the point of Twitter schizo threads where we finally arrived at Goya and Saturn devouring his son being mentioned as pedophilic and satanic, I was like, oh, that okay, like we're good. I reached my limit of like, I can't even look at this any longer. This is fucking ridiculous. If only my mother was here watching me fucking parse through all of this shit, she would probably have a good laugh. Okay? Like, devouring his son? So basically, he's eating a Stop. Please. Please. Don't even make this as a joke, please. Because people do actually fucking take it super seriously. There are people who are legitimately like, don't tell Joe Rogan about this painting. Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine your conspiracy nut grandma reviewing a fine art book on Amazon. Exactly. Okay, stop. I know we all like LARPing as weird schizo posting right-wing freaks. Please stop posting like that in the chat right now. I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
For sure, not everyone wants to be associated with him. Gabriele Galimberti even had to clarify that the campaign featuring the Supreme Court document and Bormann's alarming literature was not photographed by him, stating, "Following the hundreds of hate mails and messages I received as a result of the photos I took for the Balenciaga campaign, I feel compelled to make this statement. I am not in a position to comment on Balenciaga's choices, but I must stress that I was not entitled in whatsoever manner to neither choose the products nor the models nor the combination of the same. As a photographer, I was only and solely requested to light the given scene and take shots according to my signature style. As usual for a commercial shooting, the direction of the campaign and the choice of the objects displayed are not in the hands of the photographer. I suspect that any person prone to pedophilia searches on the web and has unfortunately a too easy access to images completely different than mine, absolutely explicit in their awful content. Lynchings like these are addressed against wrong targets and to distract from the real problem and criminals. Also, I have no connection with the photo where a Supreme Court document appears. That one was taken in another set by other people and was falsely associated with my photos.
Separate.
Gabrielle.
It was two separate, completely unrelated ad campaigns that
was being unfairly lumped into the second campaign, while social media, Twitter mainly, was trigger happy with their allegations. He had faced enough criticism. Balenciaga's apology for the garde-robe line was pretty much identical to their first apology, except they did partner with the National Children's Alliance in hopes of restoring some decency. We apologize for displaying unsettling documents in our campaign. Balenciaga added, "We take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the..."
Like, if they hadn't put the fucking Supreme Court document, or if they used the kids in the other campaign, if they hadn't done either of those things, everyone would be, like, most people, the liberals in elite society would be laughing at the schizo posting. But because they did both of those things, and they neatly packaged it, it was over.
Parties responsible for creating
like
this
they would literally say this anyway. They say this about everything.
set and including unapproved items for our Spring 23 campaign photo shoot. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being. But a simple apology would not suffice. Everyone was out for blood. Balenciaga officials announced the beginning of a $25 million lawsuit against North 6, the production company that built the garde-robe campaign, and Nicolas Desjardins, the set designer. What people may not know is that Balenciaga promptly dropped this lawsuit and has decided not to pursue any legal discourse. There are three potential reasons as to why they would do
Why would they? What would they? That would be a ridiculous lawsuit.
this. It was a complete accident, and the documents were rented from props used in movies and television. Balenciaga knew about the documents, went through with the campaign, and weren't obliged to say anything until heavily criticized. Or there's no such thing as bad publicity. Something tells me that associating in the same stratosphere as CP would have to be the dumbest marketing move ever. It's simply inconceivable, but you can draw your own conclusions. Kim Kardashian, Balenciaga's biggest collaborator and celebrity endorsement, spoke out about the controversy, stating that she would be reevaluating her relationship with the brand. Naturally, Balenciaga got seriously worried, so they decided to apologize again. In a now deleted Instagram post, Balenciaga addressed the issues raised by its advertising campaigns. The company repeated that it deplores child abuse and that it was, quote, never our intent to include it in our narrative. Cristobal may have never been around for the public to cast blame. Nonetheless, the online mob did decide to berate a single man.
Schizos are running the world now, dude. It's done. Anyone that they turn their crosshairs onto, especially in this day and age, they can literally whip up so much support on Twitter. It's like it's straight up. I mean, half of those motherfuckers are also literally doing this with any mention of like trans folk. Okay? That's like literally is any mention of queer folk, trans folk, immediately they're like, all right, that's it. There's pedophilia happening. And 90% of the time is a projection, as you know already.
September 13th, 2021. In typical Kardashian fashion, all of the attention at the Met Gala was on Kim. The dress code theme was American independence, yet she was completely covered and murdered out next to another shadowy figure, Demna Gvasalia. Demna is Balenciaga's creative director and co-founder of Vetements, who was blamed for allowing these campaign mistakes to slip through. He only apologized to the public once the business of fashion, a lead authority in the industry, revoked him as recipient of their Global Voices Award for 2022. To this day, Demna is attacked on social media for his involvement with Balenciaga's controversy. In an interview with Vogue, Demna tried to clarify that the teddy bear bags were in reference to punk and DIY culture, absolutely not BDSM. Quote, I didn't realize how inappropriate it would be to put these objects in the image and still have the kid in the middle. It unfortunately was the wrong idea and a bad decision from me. One theory that is not out of the question is that Demna knew associating children, which are conventionally portrayed with innocence, next to the dark aesthetics of evil, would be sure to cause commotion.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's it. That's your answer. Absolutely, 1,000%. Yeah, and he didn't realize how far he was taking it, which he was. And that kind of shit would 100% law fucking bullshit. It wasn't BDSM. Yeah, it was. It's literally deliberately done. That's what I was trying to say. Like, no real evil person, okay, is directly tailoring their content to look evil. That's why it's so fucking stupid. Like, what do you think? Like, if there's actually a satanic conspiracy and the Illuminati are running rampant in society, you think they're trying to fucking be like, look at us, we're the Illuminati, hey. You know what I mean? Check us out. Look at us. Oh, like one of those, you know what I mean? It's so fucking dumb. Nah, they slip up all the time. Yeah. I hate when I slip up and put yellow tape that says ball in front of a kid. No, it's incredibly fucking stupid.
However, this slippery slope of association led people to connect everything in proximity to it, whether it made sense or not. Either way, Demna apologized, so it's only right that internet detectives would move on to more individuals to barrage, whether they were guilty or not. Online theories surrounding Balenciaga spawned from Reddit, Twitter, and 4chan, gained a ton of attention, but mistakenly provided incorrect information.
Oh yes, this was the thread. I'm pretty sure this was the thread that ended with fucking Goya being a pedophilic. God, I fucking love this shit so much.
Regarding a renowned model and stylist, Lada Valkova. Lada was a former stylist for Balenciaga and co-founder of the famous 2014 streetwear collective Vêtements.
Which, by the way, like grossly misunderstanding the power dynamic in a situation like this, where like this stylist is actually the one who is legitimately impactful in the artistic decisions that are taking place in Balenciaga fucking like 7-8 years later.
Demna Vasalia and
In a
Gosha
photo shoot.
Rubchinsky. She was heavily criticized for the BDSM-themed teddy bears and Supreme Court ruling prop to the point she had to condemn the abuse of children in any form. Lada was also thought to be the model pictured here, carrying 2 blood-soaked dolls during a runway shoot. This photo in particular circulated online, riling up more people, but was later disproved. The real model is unnamed, and the photo itself was verified to be from 2016 China Fashion Week. To further prove her innocence, Lada has claimed to not have worked with Balenciaga or its team since 2000.
China? Hold up. They're the devil, brother. They're doing devil work.
2017. This did not stop Jake Shields, a former UFC fighter, from posting her occult-themed artwork on Twitter. Since Shields had the wrong identity of Lada to begin with, it's possible the photos he obtained from her Instagram are fake. But it's also conceivable that she's deleted any possible...
Also, no, man. Jake Shields is like an insane person. Jake Shields is the... possibly the best human embodiment of CTE. He is literally just walking, talking CTE. Rarely ever talking, okay? This man is just brain damage. An absolute psychopath. Come on now.
Images that could incriminate her. Though edgy artists exist and the internet seems to forget that. Lada's dark shit posting...
Remember when fucking, what do you call it? Jake Shields was like, remember when Jake Shields was fantasizing about literally, it's like hard for me to even say this out loud, but when he was fantasizing about doing stuff to Greta Thunberg
is just her aesthetic. However, the biggest worry for her detractors were the photos including children, social media posts with blood, as well as her relationship with the third and final co-founder of Vêtements, Gosha Rubchinsky. In 2018, Gosha was accused of pressuring a 16-year-old model into sending him explicit pictures.
You know, like Gosha Rubchinsky is the Ali Alexander of the fashion world, in a field where there are many Ali Alexanders, by the way.
Denied the claims and said that the messages were manipulated in order to make him malicious, and that he was just asking for pictures for a particular runway shoot. Nothing has come of these allegations since. It may be true that Lada and/or Gosha influenced Balenciaga's decisions when they worked there, but shouldn't be to blame for incidents that happened years later. Artists like Lada love shock value whether they know it or not, oftentimes forming a niche audience that appreciates their work. Additionally, fringe artists revel in the idea of people being mad at them for something as surface level as provocative social media posts. What may be satanic and horrifying to some just goes hard for others. When this artistry or provocation bleeds into traditional, naive channels of information, they're met with torches and pitchforks. But this is not the first time a worldwide fashion brand has been accused of child exploitation. If you grew up during the 80s and 90s, the allegations surrounding Calvin Klein can be seen as eerily familiar. In 1980, Calvin Klein decided he needed a new model with a modern spirit to be the face of his upcoming Calvin Klein jean campaign. Calvin's interests led him to choose 15-year-old Brooke Shields.
The secret of life lies hidden in the genetic code. Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual and passing on these characteristics to succeeding generations.
It's very weird that like nowadays people literally harken, like Nazi accounts will harken back to like Brooke Shields when she was fucking 15 years old and was like hyper exploited by not only the fashion industry, but just like Hollywood in general.
Occasionally, certain conditions produce a structural change in the gene, which will bring about the process of evolution. This may occur in one or more of the following ways. Firstly, by selective mating, in which a single gene type proves superior in transmitting its genes to future generations. Secondly, by gene drift, in which certain genes may fade away while other genes persist. And finally, by natural selection, which filters out those genes better equipped than others to endure in the environment. This may result in the origin of an entirely new species, which brings us to Calvin's and the survival of the fittest.
Calvin Klein genes.
Predictably, a lot of people
Thank
took
you,
issue
Anonymous,
with the
for taking the subs.
sexualization of a 15-year-old, but Brooke claims that there were no problems and that Calvin treated her well on set.
Anonymous
Nowadays,
with another
looking
thank you
back
for
on the
subs.
situation, Brooke covers the controversy stating, quote, "I can understand it now, where it's coming from. But for some reason, and maybe it's just protection, I'm not mad at it. It afforded me a lot. After all," she says, quote, "sex sells. Sex has been selling since the dawn of time, and it still does." This statement highlights that she's aware that she's been sexualized underage because she was compensated and her career took off. I guess, depending on how much money you're paid, you can be groomed into believing it was par for the course. Brooke Shields wasn't the only controversial choice made by Calvin Klein back in the day.
Bro, people get so confused when they see like content from the 80s. You just saw that piece of footage, right? And you're like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Literally every single fucking rock and roll celebrity, every single artist from that time frame and even earlier on has made songs about having sex with like 14-year-old girls. Okay? Like literally. It's just, it is so insane to even think about now. But like they very openly talked about it. Kid Rock, as we talked about, okay? Kid Rock literally has a song called Jailbait that was in the soundtrack of the movie Osmosis Jones, man. Like, in a fucking kids movie. Yeah, Kid Rock, the one who's like, yeah, I can't believe Bud Light's doing queer culture.
12 years after her campaign with Calvin Klein, Kate Moss and Mark Wahlberg were pictured in an infamous advertisement. The controversy began due to the fact Kate was 17 at the time, posing topless on top of the 21-year-old Wahlberg.
Now that could definitely come between me and my Calvins. Do you have Calvin Klein underwear on?
Identifying her actual age on the internet.
Mark Wahlberg was how many years removed from a hate crime at that point, by the way? I think, 4? For the record. Like, no, yeah, Mark Wahlberg at that point was like 5 years removed from going to jail for a hate crime against a Vietnamese man, a bunch of black people as well, but the worst offense being a Vietnamese man that he beat up so badly that he blinded him. I think he did that in the same duration, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure he did that in the same 24-hour time frame. All this designer got me drip. Okay, stop. I mean, Mark Wahlberg now is a very different person than who he was back then. He's corny. It's funny to make fun of him. I'm just saying that, like, at the time, though, he was 21, not that far removed from the actions that we're talking about. But hey, Catholicism saved him, and the Catholic app. The Catholicism app saved his life, and all the designer that he's got. I love other people. I love that you guys also are familiar with Mark Wahlberg memes and are dropping it in the chat. For those of you who are unfamiliar, does anyone have the link of the Instagram video? Mark Wahlberg is one of my favorite funny follows. Oh, here, this is it.
Design that got me drip. All this design that got me drip.
Okay, they made this edit cooler, okay? He's like 60 years old, man. That's crazy. Wild state of affairs.
Is a bit murky, as some sources say 17, others say 18. However, Kate Moss herself said she experienced a nervous break at 17 or 18 when she had to participate in these shoots. And this predatory environment was not new to her, as she had been asked to remove her bra at the age of 15 during a separate photo shoot. By far the most chilling campaign made by Calvin Klein was in 1995.
You look like a movie star.
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from Italy. I'm from Roma.
Uh-huh. So you've made films already?
Sorry?
Have you made films already?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Have you made love in film?
What?
Have you ever made love in a film?
Yes.
You have?
I'm an actress.
Oh, yeah. Smile?
I smile with my eyes. I prefer.
Now turn around and walk towards the wall again. And now, when you get to the wall, there you go. And give me a smile. Good.
I'm sorry, I'm shy. I prefer to die at this moment.
You got a real nice look. How old are you?
21.
What's your name?
August.
Why don't you stand up? Are you strong?
I'd like to think so.
You think you could rip that shirt off of you? It's a nice body. Do you work out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can tell.
This campaign, shot by Steven...
Dude, what the fuck? They were like, bro, let's do a campaign where we're doing, snuff footage. That's wild. Yeah, I mean, look, as long as those guys are adults, though, it's nowhere near as bad as any of the other shit that we saw. I mean, it's like weird. It's gross. But again...
Meisel became one of the most controversial in
it's
the
like one of
brand's
those situations where it's like creepy but legal, you know what I mean?
history. The ads featured some underage models.
Okay, well then, yeah, that's an entirely different. Never mind. Like I said, as long as they're of age.
Like a wood-paneled basement, and there are still relics from these commercials online today.
Can you unbutton the top button of those jeans? No. Why don't you push them down a little bit?
And
I don't think so.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
And there we are.
Why?
Because I'm on the spot.
You've been on the spot before.
Not like this. It's torture.
For the most part, you just get the feeling that you're watching Patrick Bateman's videotapes. Thousands of people, including parent groups, child welfare authorities, and the American Family Association, agreed that these ads were exploitative in nature and borderline CP. The president at the time, Bill Clinton, as well as his wife Hillary, were at a re-election dinner when Bill decided to talk about, quote, the explosion of crime among juveniles. He added, quote, I may be stepping on somebody's toes tonight. I don't have any comment on whether those Calvin Klein ads were legal or illegal, but those children were my daughter's age.
Man, I'm so glad that Bill, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, been on the Lolita Express multiple times. Clinton had some things to say about the exploitation of juveniles. He was like, hey, real bad that I wasn't the one doing it. Yeah. Damn, Bill. You speak on it, man. He's like, he knows CP. He's a bit of a sommelier, if you will, of CP. Oh no. Yeah, when he said he's stepping on toes, he meant like friendly toes, okay?
In those ads, and they were outrageous. It was wrong. It was wrong to manipulate those children and use them for commercial benefit. It's hard enough to grow up as it is without confusing people further. Settle down, Bill. I got this. One Dinner had launched an entire investigation into Calvin Klein by the Justice Department to find if any advertisements broke pornography laws. Their summary concluded Calvin Klein had used several minors in the ad campaign, but photographs or videos of them did not display the, quote, genital and pubic areas, as federal law requires in order to prove the sexual exploitation of children. Eventually, the investigation was dropped altogether, as Calvin Klein was able to prove the models pictured in risque photos were of age, while underage models were not depicted sexually. They still pulled every ad in the hopes of regaining some of their popularity, which saved them. This controversy blew over and didn't really matter in the long run. Calvin Klein is now worth around $800 million, so if anything, consumers just heard the name more and bought the jeans. Perhaps Balenciaga wanted to further experiment with shock value and knew that it would be successful in attracting more consumers over an extended period of time. It may have backfired initially, but they'll come back. They weren't the first fashion company to come under fire, and they won't be the last. Balenciaga will continue pushing boundaries of fashion to satisfy an artistic need, almost as if to usher in a new age of performance art. Contemporary fashion houses, including Balenciaga, have moved to incorporate crazy—
I think it's like pretty simple. Just don't include children. Like, am I crazy? Like, there are certain boundaries you're not supposed to cross, even in the field of art, and it's like, it's the most obvious one, you know what I mean? Like, it's the simplest one. That's it. Because like I said, Balenciaga would still be weird, you know what I mean? They would— it's not like, you know, they're not gonna— it's not like they're gonna be perceived by the mass consumer audience as like a normal brand. If they had not had the children, or even if they had not visibly centered children for that juxtaposition that got them quote unquote canceled, nobody would have even fished through the other stuff to find the Supreme Court brief. You know what I mean?
settings into their design philosophy. If the clothes or set doesn't speak to you, if they don't have a hidden theme, then they're doing something wrong. Whether it's the back rooms, a rented out parking garage, a mountain of graffiti, an epileptic's worst nightmare, a strobe light rave, or an actual parking garage. And lastly, for spring and summer in 2023, Balenciaga paid a Spanish artist to design a mud runway for their show. Demna explained in a
Loki, that was pretty fire, the mud runway. I mean,
statement before the event that, quote, "The set of this show is a metaphor for digging for truth and being down to earth."
I thought it was
from
really
the futuristic
I thought it was kind of cool.
Performance art,
especially because like it's super memeable too.
Trick settings and canceled celebrities. Amid all of this, Balenciaga's controversy drew the internet's attention to two indiscriminate artists. Jake and Dinos Chapman. Jake and Dinos are British visual artists.
They make new War Criminal boots, right? No, that's Prada. But those boots are fire. Will has them too. Those boots are actually the one that what's his face has, the Chechen dude has.
Artists who deliberately create shocking imagery that tend to land them in trouble from time to time. The Chapmans were linked to Balenciaga through a corporate family tree. It begins with Francois Henry Penault, the CEO of Kering. Besides Balenciaga, Kering also owns a company called Group Artemis, which is the parent company of Christie's. Christie's is an art auction house where you can browse the world's finest art, and if you browse long enough, you may stumble upon Jake Endino's disturbing art. There's Fuckface the Zygotic, the Four-Headed Cockroach Kid, Forehead Platinum Joey, Two-Faced Cunt, or maybe you wanted Fuckface in bronze. Doggy, there's no hearing anyone out. This should be illegal. There's plenty more unsettling art made by Jake and Dinos, but I wouldn't waste your time.
Yo! Yo! Okay, that's criminal. That's got to be criminal. If that's not a crime, it should be a crime, right? Okay, well, remember when I said artistic interpretation, you know, people are trying to push boundaries? No! Jail! Dude, British people are wild for this one, okay? I can't believe I'm saying this. That's new crime unlocked. Should be a crime if it's not right now. It should be a crime in the future, I think.
Looking at it, you'll probably end up on an FBI watch list if you aren't already.
Bro, who buys that? Who are they making this for? Like, Jeffrey Epstein? They have one client, it is Jeffrey Epstein. No, seriously. Who the fuck would buy that, dude? That is so psychotic. What beans on toast for breakfast does to a motherfucker. No, literally. Like, I guess in a way it's like clever, you know what I mean? Because all these fucking like billionaire pedophiles they're the only ones who could buy that shit anyway. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, Prince Andrews and Jeffrey Epstein and everyone that's like traveled on the Lydia Express more than 10 times has purchased one of our exclusive pieces. It's very nice. Harlan Crow has a room full of them to remind him it's wrong. Harlan Crow built a room he calls pedophile room. And he goes in there and does this. He just goes into the room. It's full of CP and shit like this. And he goes, so bad. Every time. Every time he walks into the room, he's just, even if he's alone, he's like, It's right next to the Hitler room. Yeah, to remind myself how much I dislike it.
It's clear the brothers don't care about criticism. In fact, it's probably central to their art anyway. They do what they love, and that includes sexualizing children and creating miniature models of CP. If Jeffrey Epstein needed a paperweight for his desk, this is probably where he would shop.
Yeah.
After all, it's not like billionaire Henry Penault is personally involved with each item and artist among his affiliate marketplaces and businesses. He doesn't have time to do this because he's too busy sacrificing a child to ball. If we're to be realists about this, the subjective nature of art will never change. What's shocking sells, and oftentimes for these pretentious artists, they feed off pissing you off.
Is that a swastika with like, am I crazy?
Art will
am
never
I turning
change.
into one of those
What's
like
shocking
schizo guys?
sells, and oftentimes.
Is that actually a rainbow color swastika or no? Maybe I'm being like back there. Nah, they made art with Hitler's watercolors. Hitler gets Chapman treatment as hell rises from the ashes. Smiley faces for Führer's watercolor. Successor to Lost in Fire goes on show. They were labeled as vandals for defacing a set of Goya prints. There may have been less fuss over their new target, 13 watercolors of dubious quality by a man who never made it to art school despite his best endeavors, Adolf Hitler. The work is entitled, If Hitler Had Been a Hippie, How Happy Would We Be? Oh, this is so, it's so basic. I mean, I don't fucking know. It just feels, it's so basic. Young would wear the fuck out of that. Okay, chill. I mean, defacing Goya is cringe, but I guess defacing Adolf Hitler is like not as cringe, but also like it's just like I don't know. Too much time could be spent looking at the art to try to read the mind of the man Hitler became. All they all indicate is that this person is not very good at art. They don't indicate this person will become a terrible tyrant. Fucking hell. Also on show at the White Cube Gallery in central London is 9 glass cabinets arranged in a swastika formation with tens of thousands of miniature figures enduring awfulness on a grand scale. The original installation was lost in the East London fire, which destroyed much of Charles Saatchi's stored art collection 4 years ago. You couldn't fail to see something funny about hell being on fire, said Jake. Their first thought was, let's do it again. We wanted to rescue the work from the sentimentality that soon clothed the work after it burned, an affection for the work that wasn't there when it actually existed as an object. So the idea of a world without hell was unacceptable to us. It's so cringe. Like, it's like shock. There's a lot of stuff like this in the art world where it's just like simple shock value. I would go so far as to say that it's just like not a lot of thought placed into it, and is exclusively to come across as like edgy and attention seeking.
Time for these pretentious artists, they feed off pissing you off. The issue, or inherent beauty of art, is that there is no distinct line in the sand of what is too far, and you'll have artists die to protect it. Balenciaga's cancellation was the product of edgy art gone too far, corporate oversight, and a social media witch hunt. When the flow of information is dictated by the 24-hour news cycle, you'll have outlets pump out reactionary garbage in order to run with the story, because they have to. Social media impressions are then farmed by attention-hungry users that want the world to be more evil than it actually is. It's all too normal and convenient to take a story.
Philion is like the exact opposite of like the centrist commentator, where at the end of like every centrist commentator's YouTube essay, you end up arriving at a very right-wing conclusion where they like slowly bake that in. Philion does the same thing, but then at the end, he actually tells you a truthful opinion that is closer to reality and will end up telling you something that is ostensibly sometimes leftist as well.
And spin it so that it fits an agenda, only to push a narrative of predictable tropes. In a digital era where information is monetizable, it shouldn't be surprising when emotionally charged stories are milked for everything that they are. The answers are always more complex. I simply can't stand it. And if you want to support the antithesis of this, consider signing up to the Third Eye Global Patreon. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord and member-only content. The link is down below. Balenciaga's statements toward their controversial campaigns were met with deaf ears, as most of social media still criticizes them for what they did. But as we saw with Calvin Klein, it takes more than just some strangely artistic campaigns to take down a multi-billion-dollar company. Balenciaga will always be Kering's prodigal son, profiting from collaborations with the biggest of celebrities and models. With leadership under Demna, who has been quoted in a recent interview as not being worried about the controversy, only the heads of Balenciaga, such as Demna, know if all of it was a deliberate ploy or a genuine error in judgment. But despite the ethics and morals behind it all,
no, I think it was a deliberate ploy that also went too far, so it did become a error in judgment. Yeah, I think it was trying to be edgy by adding children into like a juxtaposition that children should not be added into at a time when like that kind of content will be absolutely received by the most psychotic people as like, oh my God, they're deliberately giving us a message that they want to like do bad things to children. And that rage bait will sometimes bite you in the fucking ass. Yeah, they wanted to be edgy and got themselves cut. Exactly. That's what I think.
The uproar that shock value provides will never cease to be fashionable. Demna, who has a genius-level understanding of mimetic culture, is responsible for propelling Balenciaga into the stratosphere, and something tells me he's not quite done with the brand yet.
Yeah, meanwhile, the fucking Harry Potter Balenciaga, the Harry Potter Balenciaga videos, if they are an ad campaign, they're fucking brilliant. Because holy shit. Holy fucking shit, dude. That is like revitalized the brand on TikTok dramatically, in my opinion. There is no good and evil, only Balenciaga Potter.
Damn, this guy's good.